How's it going, Kurt?
Good. Welcome to the Adult Game Stream. I am Kurt. This is Deren. We are the makers of the successfully funded A Faeseeker's Guide to Avallen. Let's go.
Yes. I guess I can show that on screen right now, right? I can say, hey, look. Here we go.
Yep. Yeah, we're no longer groveling to get you to back our thing. We're just gonna make the thing and make it great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a respectable number, I think.
It is. It sounds a lot better when you put it into American dollars. I think it's
in yen.
In yen, it's like 10 million yen, right?
Yeah. It's 100,000 Japanese dollars. That's how I would say it.
It's like $72,000, which sounds a lot better. Yeah. And I guess for Zilfie is Canadian, right? So what's 57 GBP to Canadian dollars? Is 102,000 Canadian dollars. Wow, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, that's a good amount. So, it's your fault for being a pound and where everyone just wants your money because it's so valuable. Yeah, devalue that shit. I think devalue your currency. We don't need to get the macro. I can. What's up, Zofia? Boo boo boo. Continuing your streak. I love it.
Yeah.
No, we're just talking about currencies and how our campaign is like 100. What did you say it was?
It's 100,000 Canadian dollars. Yeah.
Oh man, we're Canadian $100,000 heirs for our project.
Yeah. Nice. In Canada, we're rich. In the UK, we just need to do
one of these campaigns every month, and we'll be Canadian millionaires. Just wearing denim all the time.
This time next year, we'll be millionaires. Shit, did I force you to watch Only Fools and Horses? I think I must have made you watch one clip, but I need to make you watch a whole episode.
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you do, because it's related to knockoff.
What is it?
It's like knockoff the TV show. It was a British sitcom.
Okay, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Yeah, so his
catchphrase is "This time next year we'll be millionaires."
Yeah, I remember that clip. So we just gotta do one just do a Kickstarter every month and produce like every month. We'll be good to go. That's the siren song of AI products, I guess.
Yeah. True. Yeah. That's the hardships, is it? Huh? What?
What's stronger, Japanese or Japanese yen must be weaker than Canadian, right? 100%.
I mean, I don't know how you translate.
$1 Canadian to yen is they're about the same. Yeah, like 107 Japanese yen to $1 Canadian. So I feel you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's going on there, Kurt?
So we are making a book, and we're planning. We're sort of taking all the stuff we made, and Deren, you've been working really hard on structuring things out and creating the roadmap we need for success, haven't you?
I have. Do we want to do a rambling intro and talk about that Tolkien video first, though?
Sure. No. I mean, this is related, right? So you've been making a roadmap. I've been.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fine. So what happened? So we funded the Kickstarter last week. It ended on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I had to go to a funeral, so I was busy. And on Thursday and Friday, I took days off, which I haven't done. Well, I've been working weekends for the past month, I think. I haven't stopped, because that's what happens to Kickstarters. And that's why, pro tip, that's why I run Kickstarters for 3 weeks instead of 4 weeks, because if I run them for 4 weeks, I think I might die. So we run them for 3 weeks instead. I took Thursday and Friday off, and then this week, what have we been doing? We've been planning. I've been making spreadsheets, which we'll show off later, and you've been reading and watching YouTube content, which is useful. Sometimes it's useful to watch YouTube content.
Yeah, often, yeah. I mean, because I think YouTube content, you obviously have to have an eye and have discretion in terms of what you follow, and some people just say a bunch of stuff and regurgitate, and some things are actually well researched, and they read the things and they offer bibliographies, and that's nice. And one of the ones that I shared with Deren recently was less about specifically for our book and more about fantasy stuff in general. And it was this really interesting video called Pre-Tolkien, covering Pre-Tolkien Fantasy. Pre-Tolkien Fantasy. Let
me share it. I can share it in the chat.
I recommend it to everyone who likes fantasy. because he does a pretty good overview of fantasy novels and literary fantasy prior to The Hobbit, and it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff that some stuff that you hear about or that you're kind of familiar with, like was it Lord Dunsay? Dunsay, is that it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at this. This is peak content here. This is the typical timeline of fantasy. J.R.R. Tolkien invents fantasy in 1954. Nothing happens in these 2 decades. Then everyone copies Tolkien, and then George R.R. Martin makes good fantasy, and then Sarah J. Maas makes it bad again. I don't know who that is.
I don't know. Was Sarah J. Maas? Who is that? Sarah J. Maas is Sarah J. Maas is the she wrote A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay. And it's like a huge seller right now.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in bookstores. Yeah, and I thought, what a terrible title.
And it's super. Supposedly, it's super racy and.
Oh, is it? It's romantasy.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. Meets like trying to be.
Okay. But anyway, to be clear, this is not the content of the video. This is a meme. This is the author joking. Exactly. But more importantly, look what we have here. Who's that? It's the Fairy Queen. That's right. We go. And it's funny, when I started watching this video, I was already like 2 minutes in. I was like, if he doesn't mention the Fairy Queen, I'm leaving. I'm quitting. I'm not watching this video. But they mentioned it within 3 minutes 55 seconds. And it was almost too long. I was like at 2 minute mark getting antsy. I was like, is he going to mention it? But then he did. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm invested.
He also uses like the original folios. Look how he could have just had the words of Fairy Queen and a true story, but he found the fucking whatever. It might be it's just Wikipedia, but he did put in the effort of putting in the original book covers. I respect that.
So yeah, this video is excellent. Highly recommend it if you're interested in fantasy literature in general. Like I said, he delves into what fantasy was like before Tolkien, and honestly, it's really fascinating. Like the end result is actually an even bigger appreciation of Tolkien, I think. Because he really was the first to do a few things. And he did, and not only was he the first to do them, but he did them exceptionally well as well. That's the surprising part, right? You think there might have been like a progenitor of someone who did this kind of stuff in the same way that he did it, but there isn't. He was the first, and he nailed it. So it's like, wow, okay. Yeah, bravo.
I mean, yeah, but that's given that his progenitors were ancient sagas and Beowulf and so on, right? Like, he was trying to do a modern version of the stuff he was a nerd for, which I think why it became so good. And did you have a favorite? Like, did you come across anything that you didn't know about before?
Oh, yeah, all of it. All of it, everything that was mentioned, I had no idea, except like the early stuff, like the Fairy Queen, like the actual stuff written in the 1800s. Yeah, I never heard of any of it. I never heard of Lord Dunsay. All of those guys. I never heard of any of those books, so it was all super interesting to me. Yeah.
And he does a good job too of like pointing to things that Tolkien was aware of.
Yeah, that was really cool as well. Seeing Tolkien comment on the things that have been mentioned, and that gets even more interesting in the part 2, which is about American pulp fiction fantasy, because Tolkien also has some things to say about those authors as well, which is really interesting.
But yeah, the one that really stood out to me was the novel The Nightlands, which is like a the plot. When he describes the plot, sounds really interesting because it sounds almost like a modern Attack on Titan style fiction, future sci-fi fantasy, but the way he describes it is terribly written, and I'm just like, man, that's public domain. It'd be kind of fun to just like go back and
redo it.
Yeah, just redo it and try to make it like good.
The Nightland is this one, yeah.
The Nightland, yeah. It's like people in the future. He like gets teleported to the future, and the sun is burning out. And
that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the wizards like hoard all the wealth and technology in the towers. And then the rest of humanity. I remember now. Yeah, it was really compelling. Like,
silver pyramids, and there's like these creatures that are, because the sun is dying, have come and dominate the landscape and so on. So, and he has a weapon, a discus is his weapon. Is like a fucking psychic chainsaw.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But the way he describes it is it's a long book where 70-80% of it is just him talking about, it's a travel log where he talks about his meals and how many hours he slept. And
it's lame, that's right, yeah.
But when he describes it, like when you describe like the key parts of the plot, it's interesting. And here's the important thing is, not only is all this stuff pre-Tolkien, this is also like cinema, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like it's cinematic language too, which is obviously heavily informs a lot of modern writing. Like when I read like Neil Gaiman or whatever, he clearly is informed by other modern storytelling traditions, and a lot of those authors didn't have the benefit of that, such as knowing how to fucking get to the point of your plot, because most of this shit, like probably a lot of stuff that people are reading were travel logs, right?
Yeah.
Like if you like the Gaelic Wars is just a fucking journal by Julius Caesar talking about where you're gonna go and the peoples of the land. So I think people will follow suit for that a little bit if it wasn't poetry anyway. Anyway.
Well, there's one more thing I wanted to highlight is this chap, E.R. Edison, the worm Ouroboros. I liked his story as well, but more importantly, I don't know how we have this stuff, but this is drawings that he made as a kid, as like a 10-year-old or something.
Oh man!
And then he just he didn't let go and just wrote the book about it instead.
Oh well, he was rich, right? They're all
I know, but
it was just art that they had, and they probably just kept them in portfolio drawers like for eternity, because that's what you had to do.
Yeah, and another thing that I thought was really interesting that brought up with Jasmine was that almost all of these stories have this weird introduction to them, where there's a character from our world, usually a man, usually a military veteran, that gets transported either via magic or through death or through visions or through dreams into the other world. And then they either become the protagonist or witness the events. And then that part usually almost has no bearing on the plot whatsoever. It's just a vehicle to get the reader from our world to their world. And then it took literally 50, 60 years for people to just go, oh, we don't need that. We could just start in the fantasy world. We don't need to take the person there. Exactly. It's the old isekai. Yeah.
That might be ye old isekai. Isekai. Oh god, I hate isekai so much, but they're the oldest part of our fantasy tradition. I
know. But it's fascinating, right? It's like they felt like, because my theory is that because the Vogue literary book of the time was like realism, right? It was everyday happenings of people in the modern world. That to get people into fantasy, they felt it was necessary to ground it at least first in our reality, and then literally transport the reader to the new location. I think that might be part of it. Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. Because fantasy was kind of looked down upon for that reason, right? Because if it's not realistic, then it's not real. It's not real writing. It's
not worth reading, right? Not worth reading. It's not.
And also that's why they use that tone, right? Like that book that was shittily written. Aside from him being a shitty author, he had to write in the style of people of the time. Anyway, I think it's super interesting, and I do want to try to like find some of these books at some point and like look through them. And
you would. I'm not. I can't bring myself, but this was good. Oh yeah, forewarning though, to anyone who does want to watch the video. At least for me, I found the video teller author's voice to be exceptionally grating.
Great.
Yeah, did you? I'm wondering if it's a British American thing.
No, but I listen to all stuff like this. I listen to on 1.25% speed.
Well, yeah, that I did want to do at 1.5 speed to help me get over the voice. But even then, it was still I still found it really quite grating. Yeah. No. Which I feel bad saying, because obviously that's the person's voice. They can't help it. But to my ear, it was like, holy shit. I almost stopped. But then I was like, no, the content was so good that I persevered and thumbed up and subscribed and everything. Yeah.
I find my own voice to be grating. So for
Really?
me, I'm like,
well, I mean, everyone finds their own voice to be grating, but I don't find your voice to be grating.
Your voice is cultured and British. It's
well,
wonderful.
Again, I also find my own voice to be grating, but other people don't find people's voices to be grating. That's normal. Right?
Actually, I find my voice less grating if I lower my register and I speak like the narrator.
Oh yeah, I could also speak with a slightly deeper voice or whatever.
This is my low voice. This is my low voice.
My low voice. What are we doing? Okay, so speaking of people writing books,
yes,
let's segue into our writing of the book. Okay, so yeah, what are we doing this week? I've been making spreadsheets and documents and stuff. This is all like the boring preliminary work. So
awesome stuff that are fun maps.
Yeah.
For
creativity. Yeah, you're all. Yeah. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. We appreciate you.
I'm introducing this to the chat, to the stream, and to Kurt at the same time.
Yes, I have not looked through this yet. No bamboozle.
I guess I should probably get rid of the. I don't know. People can. I'm pretty sure this is blocked behind our accounts, but in case it's open sharing, I should probably get rid of the. I'll shut up now. Anyway, so what is this? This is I actually want to make like a post about this on the internet because I'm curious how other creators plan their books, because I don't know how creators plan their books, but this is how I plan our books. This is our master sheet, and actually originally this was Kurt's idea, I think, and then he was like, dude, we need a sheet to keep track of everything, and I was like, okay, and so I made one for Against the Fairy Queen, and then I simply copied that format for Faeseeker's Guide to Avallen because it worked, and then made changes that are necessary. So what is going on here? We have a sheet here, and this represents the book. And the cool part is that this hyperlinked. If I click this link, it takes me to all the book content we currently have. So what is here? We have lore draft, rules draft, flavor draft. So this represents the entire text of the book. And when I say lore drafts, this is me introducing to Kurt as well. What I mean here is stuff that isn't rules, but also stuff that isn't written in italics. So this is us telling information about the world, not about the rules, and it's not text that's portrayed as a character. So that's all that text. Then rules draft, this is everything in the book that is rules. And if people don't know yet already, I'm primarily writing the rules text, and Kurt is primarily writing the lore stuff. Well, primarily. And then we have the flavor. The flavor is the stuff that is written in italics, that is written as if it was a character inside the world. It's supposed to be read as a character in the world talking to you, the reader. Or it's a story written inside the world as well. That includes poems and little short stories. Yeah.
So this is our diegetic text? Our diegetic draft?
Yes.
Flavor draft.
Yes.
Do you want to use diegetic instead?
No.
No? Okay.
Because I'll forget what it means.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So
this is for the entire book. So at the moment, everything's in progress, obviously, and this won't turn green until that section for the entire book is finished. The deadlines here, that was from Against the Fairy Queen. We never really end up using deadlines. We just do it, so I don't know if we'll use this again or not. We'll see.
I mean, I don't mind putting a soft deadline.
Yeah, I know you like deadlines, but then we can discuss that as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's kind of obvious, but maybe it's obvious. But have we explained why to do it this way? To an audience or to other people who end up working with us? Like, I guess it's obvious. Like, you just have. What's the best way? When you're making a book like this, you need to be able to collaboratively. This is really important, right? Because you can't just keep everything in your fucking head. Maybe it's the difference between us, us and other people. So I guess maybe this is the most useful thing. If you're just writing a book out of your brain, this is still probably useful, right? If you want to keep track of like different characters and different sections, and you don't have to write them in order. If you're writing a novel,
like even then, at least for me, like you're right. There's two things around here. One is to collaborate with other people. It's good to have a place that people can look to see what's going on, what needs to be done, and how the whole project is going. But two, and I find more importantly, I can't do anything unless it's broken down into chunks. So just the act of saying, okay, there's 3 kinds of text in the book. There's lore text, rules text, flavor text. We could just say there's just text, right? But breaking it down to 3 things lets me partition things in my mind. And the reason why we broke it down to those 3 things is because I'm doing the rules, you're doing the lore, so then I can split those up. And like even for example, the Vardek clans, for the culture of the Penkawa clan, I know that in that text there's going to be tables that relate things about the clan's folk. There's going to be feats and origin feats that are rules, and it's like, well, I know I'm going to do all that stuff, and then there's all the culturally explaining stuff that you're going to do. And so just splitting that up in my mind, I can see it on the sheet, and I know that, oh, this section is going to be lore, Kurt's handling that, I skip to the next section and do the rules. And then it's just useful because if I've finished all the rules, I can mark it finished, even if you haven't finished the lore yet. But I know that, oh, my stuff's done, right? Your stuff's not done yet. And vice versa, when you finish something and I haven't done it yet, I can see, oh, Kurt's done this part. If I finish this part, this whole section's done. That's great. That's awesome. And the reason why the flavor is separate is because sometimes Jasmine will be writing stories as well, and things like that. And it's useful. And sometimes I write stories as well, believe it or not. I wrote all the Bubak stories in Against the Fairy Queen. I found it a lot easier because it was one character all the time, so I just got into that idea and headspace and wrote all of them. I find it difficult to write stories, but yeah, I wrote those. Yeah. And then the book is then split up into all the sections, which then makes it easier to break down. If it was just me writing a book, I don't know if I would have this sheet. I think I would have like a full document, and then all of this stuff would then be laid out into its own sections. I would have like section title, flavor text, rules text, lore text, next section. And I would do that, and it would be like this whole thing, and I would just go through and do each bit one by one. But yeah, I think working as a group, like you said, it's better to have it in this kind of layout.
Say bye to our neighbor. Yeah, and it's much different writing this kind of thing than, say, a novel, right? Where with
although recently I had a revelation from a YouTuber that was like, actually, you can write novels in the same way that I write role-playing game books, and I don't know why that blew my mind. Yeah,
I like the idea of doing we should just write a novel this way. If we ever get around to writing a novel or something, we should. Well, we'll consider it because it's the same thing, right? Like, really, you should be thinking about if you want to juggle characters' plot points. Like a thing that a lot of people do, they'll do like the board, like with sticky notes and stuff like that, and cards and balance things that way. But this is just like our version of it because that way we don't have to actually deal with paper. We just put it together this way.
Yeah. So moving on, next section with art, obviously super important and not related to us. Then editing, and then layout is the final thing.
Does this sheet indicate how many pieces of art you're going to commission or do?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yeah, it does. I haven't put numbers yet, but yeah, you'll see in a second that it does, yeah. And then we have a page count. This is based on current estimates. So under each section, I have an estimate on the left-hand side, and then the right-hand side will be the final number. But for now, I've written in the estimate number.
Okay.
And that's page count in the book, not as written in our documents, although I have done that as well, as you'll see in a second. So yes, this link up here is super important, Kurt. That takes us to like the whole folder that contains everything. When I say everything, I mean text content, not art content. This is our section where we'll be filling in things. Everything is in there. All this stuff is in there. So that's the most important link. Then the outline goes to our plan document that I've mostly been using that. I don't really think you need that. I've been using that to keep track of artwork and things like this, and as well as what things ought to be. Any content that might be relevant to you, I've moved into its own section, which I'll show you later. And then we have the 6 sections of the book. Titles are still pending. I definitely want to change the titles of the sections but they're just what they are for now for internal development reasons. We have the Violet Clans, and this is important as well. If you click this link up here, it takes you to that section of the book content folders, and in here we have all the text for that section. That includes notes, which is the part that I said earlier might be relevant to you. This is all the notes we currently have on that section and what it might contain. And then next to that we have each section has an introduction. Obviously it needs an introduction. And then it has, for example, the Violet Clans, it has all 5 sections for the Violet Clans. And of course, the Penlevy clan is here and has much of your text, or all the stuff we've written draft-wise for the Penlevy is already in here. And then that's where we'll move to when it comes to working.
Yep.
I think I got your most recent version. We'll have to discuss that later, if this is like the most recent version of that text. Excuse me. Okay, I've sneezed. So yeah, we have section. You gone?
What's our rule of thumb again for example, if the Faeseeker section has...
Oh, okay, yeah, I can show you that now. Yeah, you're talking about the font size, right?
Font size, and in order to get 24 pages. So this is also important for the future.
Yes, yeah. So I did some beep boop calculations where I looked at the content of our previous books and how much page space they took up inside the book, and then compared it with how much page space they take up inside Google documents. And then figured out a ratio between the two, so that when we write a Google document, I can have an estimate to how much space that will take up in an actual book. And the reason that's important is twofold. One, obviously we have a size for the book we want the book to be. Any larger than that and it gets a bit unwieldy. Any less than that and it becomes a bit content sparse. Yeah. So we have a goal to aim for, which is 200 to 250 pages. And the other part of it is this book I want to be far more structured. I want like each clan section to be a similar size, and I want it to be approximately 4 pages, because it's going to be art, page, then another page with art, page. And I don't want it to be a 5th page that spills over to the next clan section. I want it to be contained in its own thing, and then when you turn the page, it's the next clan. I don't want spillover text, which happens a lot in our previous books. I want it to be far more contained and regular. And then so when you turn the page, you know exactly what's going to be on the next page, because you know it's going to be the next clan or the next fairy court or whatever. So, in lieu of that, yes, you'll see that at the top of every single document that I've made for us, there is some information. And that information tells you how many pages in 12-point Arial in this Google Doc we want it to be. And this one, for example, I guess I should do character creation here. This one, for example, says 8 pages total in 12-point font. And then underneath it here, it says 3 pages character creation, 12-point font. And we scroll down, that is about 3 pages. And then here we have 5 pages, 12-point Arial, and this is for lore. And this is the stuff you've already written. And indeed, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Well done, Kurt. Bravo. And the reason why that is because I told you that before, and that's what you did. So, also, bravo, Kurt. It's actually even better. It's not like you did it by accident. You did it on purpose, which is far better.
Also, the so these 8 pages. How many pages of actual paper real estate does it take? If
that
it's an 8 page.
Is.
I mean,
It's here. So Violet Clans 34. Okay, in that case, then no, it is here in the notes. In the notes, that's going to be 6 pages.
Okay, so 8 pages of 12-point Arial font is about 6 pages. Okay, I got you.
But no.
Cool.
So that 6 pages, that 8-point font is not. Sorry, 12-point font is not going to become 6 pages. That will become about 4 or 5 pages because some of these pages are going to be artwork.
Have art, right?
So I've factored that in as well. So I mean, if you really want to know, you divide by 1.75. So if you divide 8 pages by 1.75, that'll tell you how much page of text it will be. Again, approximately.
Right.
Yeah. So every document starts with this information to let you know how big it should be.
And every book, I forget this, so I'm just gonna go back to this stream in the future when you write another book, and I'll be like, oh, okay, you just cut that out for me. Just make this conversation we just had into a 2-minute video and post that up on YouTube as a print.
Yeah.
So
okay. So following that, there's all the page count estimates here. 34 for the Violet Clans, 24 for the Devotion God / Faeseeker section, 36 for the Avallen secrets, 36 for the Anun secrets. Originally this was one section, but I realized I should probably just divide it into two and have like the mortal world and then the other world. Because otherwise it'd be like they're about the same. Like if that was one section, it'd be 72 pages. And that's just like, it's just much bigger than all the other sections. Like if I divide it in two, it's kind of the same size. And the book has a better rhythm to it, I think.
Sure.
Then we have the artifacts, which is about 26 pages, and then the bestiary, which is the biggest section, actually, 48 pages.
Nice.
And then under here, we have each of those sections again laid out in further detail. So we go to the Violet Clans, and we have that same bit up here, which links you to the Violet Clans. And then there's the sections of that section. So we have the introduction, which introduces you, what it says here, general Avallen outline, stories to tell. What do I mean there? So when I say general Avallen outline, I mean the outline of what our world is, what kind of stories to tell, what kind of stories you can tell in Avallen. This is an introduction to our world, right? What our inspiration is, and then a historical timeline of Avallen. And then I also have here the artwork is down here. I should have a title saying artwork, but I lost it, and it's just going to be like that forever now. I'm sorry. Can't be able to fix it. But it should say down here like artwork, right? There should be like a new line that says art, but I know it's the art. So there'll be a full-page piece of artwork with diplomacy. That's actually been done. The artwork exists, so that's green now. And a new map of Avallen as well. And then we have the Penkoa. And then again, we have all the section writings for it that will decide whether it's started or in draft or finished. And then we have the outline for what will be in that section, how many pages it will be in the book. Show the character creation feats and tables, clan history, flora, fauna, culture, hierarchy, vows, coming of age, tribe structure, lifestyle, diet, ways of worship, traditional stories, that kind of stuff that you read up the Pen Levy. Then this is the artwork. It's going to be artwork of a Penkoa city / fort. There will be a clan symbol, which Chrissy has already done. That's why it's green. Then we need artwork for the kind of people that live in this area. Not done yet. And then maybe artwork for the flora, either like a little thing, or I might take it from the main artwork, I'm not sure yet. Then that's repeated for each of the clans. That's the clan section. Any questions?
No questions. I know Chrissy would love to do some flora stuff. She loves animals and plants. So,
yeah. Cool.
Yeah, no. So I will say is great job. This is what you did this in one day, 2 days?
2 days. Yeah. Well, 2 days.
Yeah. And this is a testament to one of Deren's skill sets, which is he's very good at organizing information and making it understandable for others, which I guess useful as your background as a scientist, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
It's not just about making things organized, it's about making it organized and grokkable for other people.
Yeah.
So bravo, Deren. And if anyone is making their own project with other people, this is one of the episodes to watch.
Yeah.
Because make it easy for other people. And you get that comment too. You get that comment, I think we've said in past streams, like when you work with the artists, you make things very clear for them what your expectations are.
Yeah.
And they appreciate that. And as a writer, I also appreciate that.
Yeah, it takes ages, but it's obviously it's worth it. Yeah.
If you are hiring writers and other people collaborate with you, take a page from Uncle Deren's book and make things fucking clear as day, because it's great. It makes it so much easier.
So yeah, this is all. Thank you, Kurt. This is the book content folders, again linked to in the Faeseeker's Master's Guide. So you can see all the book part here. If you go to the bestiary, for example, then this has 100 things in it because I did one for every creature. I could have put it all in one big document, but I think it's just easier to structure it where we have like the Adar, Lukakuin, and we know this is going to be 3.5 pages, 1.5 pages of lore, 2 pages of stats, and then that's that, right? And then we already have an example of the Spriggan, which we've already done on stream, although it hasn't been drafted and edited yet. Sorry, it's been drafted, hasn't been edited yet. Again, 3.5 pages total. 1.5 pages of that is the lore. There we go, 1.5. And then 2 pages is going to be stats, which at the moment is only 1 page because I've only done the Avallen stats. I haven't done the D20 stats yet. That's what's going on there. And that's it. That's everything. So that's what I've been doing this week. What have you been doing this week?
Oh, well, aside from part-time jobs.
Yes.
that's been aside from that. For the book specifically, I'm looking through some of my favorite Celtic texts, and there's a really good one, which I'm not sure if I shared with you. Let me see if I can find the title of it. It's quite good. It's just called The Ancient Celts.
It's called the what, sorry?
The Ancient Celts.
Oh, The Ancient Celts. That's a good title.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, and it's by Barry Cunliffe. And I have it on my little
Cunliffe. Oh yeah, I found it.
Yeah, and it's strong because it does a good. It's like an overview of obviously of the ancient Celts, but it seems pretty good at comparing various sources, right? Comparing the view in the Caesar versus the romantic view of it, and also providing like art from different periods depicting the Celts in different times by different people. Like it has a pretty, like early on in the book has a pretty good. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Like if you go to page 11, you know they have like Queen Boudica, but she looks and it observes how she looks suspiciously like Queen Elizabeth I, stuff like that.
I can't go to page 11 because of this stasis. So.
Yeah, I'll share it with you later, but it's quite a good volume, and I have a PDF of it, but I'd like to get a paper version for me. At first, it looks like to cover it looks like one of those elementary school books, you know, like the ancient Celts,
right?
And, like with cross names, but it's actually quite well researched, and
I believe it. I mean, I can look at the contents at the very least.
Yeah, oh, very good. So I'm trying to the 2 books I really like Celtic World, which I've mentioned before, I think on stream and in postings and stuff I've done, and this book also looks very promising. So
let me know if I'm putting you too much on the spot. You can always reject my question, but have you done anything interesting reading the book this week?
Have I read anything interesting?
Yeah.
Let me look at my highlights.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
From this particular book, I would say maybe, but there's a thing I wanted to talk about later, which I wrote down for something in a different document that I'd love to talk about, which I haven't talked to you about yet.
Okay.
But there's idea of, let's see, where did I keep that? I have my, so when I read, I have a document where I like write shit down, and because I'll forget.
Yeah,
I have
smart. It's smart as well. Or at least try to.
As I have now. But it had something to do with I don't know. I'm trying to remember if it's a Pictish god or Irish, maybe Irish gods, like a trio of, maybe it's Irish, of goddesses that are oriented towards maternity, like of childbirth and so on. But there was also another from another culture, from another area, maybe it was Scottish, like 3 deities or heroes that were like kind of dwarf-like characters.
Okay.
And it occurred to me, oh man, how cool would it be if the Pen Bive had like three of the fairy court. It was like a trio, like the trio, but they are counterpart. They have 3 dwarven counterparts in the Everfather's domain. that and they're sort of communicating with each other. One is like for paternity, one is for maternity, and they're like the demigods of the respective domains, serving the Everfather and the Evermother. But they're gods that are taken from the mythology. It's from the folklore still. Just see if I have it here. I think. Let me see.
Nice.
I think this might be.
Yeah, Zilphia says triple goddesses. We have many of those. Yeah, I know. There's so many triplicate things in the stories, and in a way, I kind of shot myself in the foot by making us have 5 clans, but and 5 gods. But yeah, I think it's going to be the power of adding these fairy courts and the Tell with Tay, these powerful fays. We get to delve into a lot of these kind of demigod like tales and make all this good stuff. Yeah. Because it's like you said, we have many of them. Yeah, exactly. It's so many that we can hopefully now tap into a lot of them. You go and go, sorry.
So Piracy, I'm looking at my notes now and I have to go through. So all I have is 3 dwarf gods for the Everfather, 3 women for the Evermother as agents of fertility. Because I think in Celtic world they do mention those, like 3 male gods that are for fertility and 3 female gods are for maternity. So that is a thing that I want to mess around with, and also this book, the one I just mentioned by Barry Cunliffe, also has interesting titles of essays that he references that I'm not aware of. Like there's a famous paper, 2 Celtic Waves in Spain, which is like, oh, that's cool, by the Proceedings of the British Academy. He's just dropping all these essays that are not in the book, but can let me follow up on it later.
2 Celtic Waves in Spain.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like you said, I'm still biting into it, but it has a lot of like great, it has a lot of imagery and transcriptions. Like there's a bilingual transcription from Italy of like Latin and Celtic side by side in Rome, and so that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So it's a good book, but obviously it's not like Britain only, right? It's like all Celtic, as mainland as well, and which also that's something we haven't really talked about, right? Because like so the Valak are our stand-in for the Celts, and we've never really talked about whether or not there is a Celtic diaspora either from other places to Avallen or Avallen to other places. If there's like if our world has equivalents in Celtiberians or Gauls.
We do. Yeah, we have a Spanish region and we have to use the modern day terms, we have a Spanish region, an Iberian region, and a French Gallic region as well in the greater world of Avallen, which doesn't yet have a name. I guess we could say they're under the dominion of the Ataraxian Empire. Yeah.
But full disclosure, we haven't delved into the relative mythology of how it relates to Avallen currently, right?
That's true.
But it's interesting. I don't know if people are interested in stuff in the future, like especially making a world map. That's like an eventual ambition.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, one day. So we've got 15 minutes left. I think I'm going to say 2 things. First, what our streams will be like going forward. They are going to be like this, I think. We're going to use these as like community update videos. I'll still post updates on the Kickstarter. I think at least once a month and when important things happen. But I think I'll also point to these videos in those updates, and we're going to try and do a stream every week where the contents of the stream will be us discussing what we did in the previous week, showing you guys what we've been working on and what's been getting made, and then discussing what we'll be doing the next week as well. And I guess we need to find a balance of like how much we want to interact with stream about making stuff and brainstorming ideas, or how much we spend talking about what we've already made and then briefly summarizing what we're going to do next week and keep it to ourselves. I'm not sure yet.
We do have a goal of making a playtest packet for backers, right, to mess around with and get feedback on.
Well, my intent is my plan is to make a playtest packet for every batch of Faeseeker abilities and every batch of clan origin feats, so that people can just give us feedback on them. The bottleneck there is the D20 stuff. I have some experience with writing D20 rules, but not all of it. We have some other people we turn to for that kind of thing. But yeah, that content will go out when we have it. But I want to put some out in January at the latest, so people can get some ideas and feedback on that. And that will likely not contain artwork. It will just be raw text. It may have lore text in there to frame it, or it may just be rules text. Just bare naked raw rules text for people to check out. Yeah.
Sure. Just just obscene rules text.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things where, like, I have great ideas and Kurt will check them, and that's great, but getting it out there and at least getting 10 other people or 100 other people to look at it can often improve something when it comes to rules, because there's things that we don't think about and that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's the plan there.
So was that the first thing or the second thing?
That was the first thing. The second thing is us discussing what we're going to be doing over the next week. And we were discussing that briefly before stream, but I guess we should decide now. Like, we have a few choices. It's so, like I said, let me go back to the master sheet. Like, when you're at this point in the book, it's almost impossible to decide where to start. Like, we have 6 sections in the book. Some parts already have bits written. We could, like, finalize those bits, but I think we shouldn't. I think we should start something new. But then where to start, and it's almost a coin toss, really. Like, we can always choose it randomly. There's reasons to choose different sections. I think you mentioned just before stream that we could do the Faeseekers sections, because that's the stuff that I want to get out in playtest documents first, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another argument is to do the adventure sites first, because getting maps made is something I want done. And I think the answer is both. I think what we're going to end up doing, actually, I think, is you're going to write the lore for the Faeseeker section, which is going to be great as well, because the Ever Stranger stuff is what you previously wrote, so that's freshest in your mind, and it's a template that you can use to
write the other stuff.
To write the other stuff. And then I will make the rules for that, but I don't think making the rules for that will take as long as you writing the lore. So if I make the rules, I can then make the adventure site afterwards, and I'll work on the rules and an adventure site at the same time as you're doing the lore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, since working on that stuff too, it's kind of like the heart of what we're doing, and so I want to get it out of the way first, so that, like you said, we can play test it. Yeah. But also, getting it out of the way first also means we can rewrite it more in the future as we if we need to.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, what you're saying there is that it's, for readers, it's often the most exciting part of the book, is like the extra player options and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and then we want to make sure we get it right through playtesting and editing and drafting. So
yeah, honestly, I'm surprised we didn't get much feedback. Like, we put out that quick start guide for the whole book, right? And it had the full rules in there on how to become a Faeseeker, and we didn't get much feedback on it. And I'm guessing that means that people liked it. If people hated it, they would have told us, right?
But, I mean, yeah. People liked it enough to back the campaign. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then there's also this contract, right? Of the reason they don't complain is that if you're putting your money towards something, you just expect the person you're buying the book from ideally to do their job and for it to be a pleasant experience, and that's why you complain when something.
But we put it out there to let people know. I thought there would be complaints, because we're doing something a little bit different. At least I'm intending to do with how you acquire these powers, right? You have to do something in the game. You have to prove yourself to the fairy courts, and that's not just ticking boxes. It's doing stuff, and then you can get punished too. And then if you use your powers in an unfortunate way, you get subject to fairy tricks. Like, I was concerned there'd be some kind of pushback or reluctance towards it, but I guess that there hasn't been at all probably implies that people think it makes sense, and that looks interesting.
Yeah. Here's another thing to throw on your plate.
Yeah.
And And if you think I'm pushing you on the budget too much and you want to talk about it off stream, just say let's talk about it off stream.
Sure.
I would love to do a live playtest of stuff. A stream playtest.
Yeah, yeah, we should. We should.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then, because you could also demonstrate, like, we can make it simple. It could be the core team, it could be like you or me game mastering, probably you, and then me, Chrissy, and Jasmine or whatever getting together, or whoever, we could.
Yeah, we should do that. And you know what? Actually, making these adventure sites first will help with that, because then we can playtest the adventure sites too. Yeah,
exactly. So it would be fun for us. It would be good work. It would be good stream content. And it's what we probably should do. I mean, obviously, we're not going to do it every week because that takes a lot of preparation when you're also trying to write the book. But having a few peppered throughout to test stuff and show stuff and see what's wonky, I think that'd be good. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, so what does that require? That requires, like, to playtest like everything, would require like character origin feats and Faeseeker ability feats that we'd want to test powers. But we'd want to test a variety, so that require writing the rules for multiple things. I mean, maybe next week I just like blast the rules out for everything and just make a draft version of all the character options.
You don't have to wait for everything. Just
exactly.
Put it down.
Yeah. And then we can start. Yeah, that's a good idea. We should do some streams. Okay. We're not promising anything because I will promise you that things will be playtested and we will be playing sessions. It's whether that stuff will be streamed on Twitch as well. I would like it to be. I just need to figure out how to do that. But I think it's not that bad. I just think I'd do something like this with whatever I'm looking at shared on the screen, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll try and make that happen. All right. That means next year then you'll see some live streams as well. Live streams? Let's play streams.
Let's play streams, yeah. It'd be fun. And I'm assuming we would stream our system only, right? Or would you also want to try 5th edition?
I mean, like, depending on how I would stream our system.
Without playing.
Yeah, someone else wants to GM D20. That's fine. Yeah.
We'll get Jason to do it. We'll just like throw it in his hands. But then there's no like surprise there, so let's think about it. We'll talk about that part off stream, but obviously we'll do Avallen at the very least.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. That is a plan.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, well, obviously we'll work out the details from off stream, but it's exciting. It's like we're making games. We should play games.
Yes, that's true. We are making games. We should play games. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right, then one more thing then, Kurt. I guess if you're working on Faeseeker lore next week, which one are you going to start on? Did you say the Everchild?
I am inclined to work on the Everchild stuff next week.
Okay, cool. Then, do you want to discuss now what that might entail? Do you do that off stream?
That might be a off-stream Is it an off-stream conversation? No, because I have the template and I have an idea of some of the stuff to talk about already.
I guess actually, my intent was that let's do this off stream. I just wanted to go through your ideas and sign off of them before they become things. You know what I mean? I know that you invent stuff along the way as well, but like general vibes and that kind of stuff, so that we're in agreement.
Yeah. Let's talk off stream. About that stuff.
All right.
Hey, what up, gift of Gabby 1, first time chatter. You're catching us right at the end of our stream, but we're glad you could say hi.
Yeah.
Because you have the gift of, assuming you're a human. I'm assuming you're a human.
Yeah. Yes. I hate that we live in that world now, man. We have to.
Yeah, and it's not even robots where you're like, oh, is it a robot that's trying to? It's like robots that are trying to take your jobs. That's what I.
Yes, I'm human, but that's what a robot would say.
That's what a robot would say. No, not necessarily. Well, maybe they would.
Cool. No, welcome, Gabby. Are you a backer or a random Twitch person that's kind of popped into our stream to see what we've got going on? I DM D&D 5. Okay, cool. No, we believe you're human now. Yeah. How many things am I helping us?
If you see a turtle on its back in the sun, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Wait, do you know that? Do you know that reference?
No, I don't.
That is Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner movie. Actually, oh man.
Well, no, we're speaking to Gift the Gabby right now. So cool. You're a random Twitch enterer. Welcome. So we are Addistone Games. We just funded a Kickstarter for a Celtic fantasy folklore Iron Age sourcebook about the clanspeople of our fantasy world, Celtic fantasy world of Avallen, and how you can rise up to become a Faeseeker, which are heroes that earn the favours of the fairy court to earn Fae powers. And we're just beginning that journey, planning our book, and here's some artwork from it. You go.
We're making a book about fairy groupies. But here's a question for you, Gabby. Not knowing anything about our world, but knowing that you're a 5th edition DM, are you on the new edition? Did you make the jump to the new edition of 5th edition? And if so, do you have a favorite thing about it and or a least favorite thing about it? I know that's a lot of pressure for someone who just jumps into a stream, but.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right though. It is a question that I kind of want to know from. I forgot. I should have done that. So I was at Dragon Meet Con in London a few weeks ago, and I spoke to a lot of people there, and I should have been asking them about that question as well. And it is something I kind of want to ask our backer base as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like about the new edition? What do you not like, etc., etc.?
Well, not so much that. It's more of, have they moved over?
Have they moved over? Oh, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I've seen some people on Reddit where they're talking about like, I'm not making the jump until blah blah. People are saying that they're sticking with their core books and not actually making the jump yet. So, I don't know. I haven't played 5th edition a hot minute, but I'll go through the rules again too. I mean, it's good to know.
Gabby, that is so funny that you say that. The Gift of Gabby says, not yet, but I've read it, and the new monk is worth it to me. So you transitioned the whole system just because of the monk. And I was about to laugh, that's a funny thing to do. But no, the original monk in 5th edition is what made me make my own role-playing game. Because I read it and I was like, this is not good. I was like, how could you screw up Avatar The Last Airbender 4-element monk? Why is it so bad? I can make something better than this. I just thought so. I had that feeling. I remember where I was in Taiwan on a subway on holiday with Jasmine. I was on a train on the underground reading it on the PDF on my phone, and I looked at that monk and I thought I could do better than that. And this is Wizards of the Coast, the progenitors of role-playing games. They have so much money and resources put into this rule book, and I just had this visceral feeling that I could do better if they put all that effort into it and this is what they come up with, and I feel like I could do better, then I should just do it. And then that's when I started making Avallen. Yeah.
No. Thank you, Wizard Coast, for blowing the previous version of the monk, but kudos for improving the current iteration. So good to know. Did you play a monk when you played
No.
War Player? Have you ever played a monk?
No, I haven't actually ever played a monk. No.
Oh, interesting.
And only in Path of Exile too. Which is another topic.
No, I used to love. I'm trying to think if I ever played a monk. I always loved the monk classes, but they were always, I played D&D heavily back in 2nd edition, so that was very much a bonus or ancillary class or whatever.
So that's why in Avallen, when you do elemental magic, you do it informed the elemental magic in Avallen, where you don't cast Fireball, you cast Elemental Ball, and you decide what element it uses, and what element you choose for it determines what attribute you test. So that means if your character's got more vigor, they're going to be more attuned with fire magic, because that's the attribute that requires fire. And if you want to do water, then it's spirit. And so your qualities as a character is what informs what elements you have power over. That was inspired by WotC's failures, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. So check out some of our game there, Gift to Gabby. You might like it if you like monks and you like. I mean, it is Celtic inspired folklore and gameplay, but you might find stuff that you like in there for your own games and so on. But just keep playing. So keep reading stuff that you like and find stuff that you dig. And thank you for joining us today, as we're about to say later. And thank you, Zilphia. Zilphia is our constant listener, and we appreciate you. And we'll see you next week same valid Celtic time, same valid Celtic channel.
Yes, yeah, next week is fine. The week after that is interesting, because that's Boxing Day. Probably can't
Boxing
stream.
Day?
Yeah.
Oh man, Boxing Day. Is it Boxing Day in Canada too?
Probably, yeah. Do you have Boxing Day in Canada,
know.
Sophia? I'm guessing you do.
I think you do, because you guys are Fan of the Queen. That's the 26th, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll have Ren basically during that week, so it's better if I take a break.
Yeah. And then the next week would be the 2nd of January. I'll be in America then, which might change our
stream times.
So, or might not. I don't know. Yeah.
Actually, I might be hanging out with some friends from America over those few days from the 31st to the 2nd, so I might not be available either.
Okay, so then we might have 2 weeks off for holidays, which sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
and then
we might have
back to regular streaming after that, and for the rest of the year probably. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay. Right. So the point is, next week though, same Volnet time, same Volnet place.
All right. Thank you for chatting with us. Thanks for joining the chat. Yes, Gabby. Thank you, Sophia, as always. Thanks, Deren, and thanks me. Thanks to me for also being here.
Yeah. Thank you, Gab.
From Japan.
Yeah.
And Deren in Wales, keeping our friendship alive across many time zones.
Yeah.
And projects.
It's good stuff. All right, peace out, guys. See you next week, and we'll see what we get up to when it comes to making rules and your Faeseeker lore stuff in 1 week's time. Yeah, I'll let you know how well the book's gonna go.
See ya.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye, Sophia. Bye, Gabby.